Hi, it's Jane. SewScraptastic. Gotta remember which hat I have on today. Man, the hits just keep coming for those of us that craft and those of us that sew. With Joann's completely closed, we lost a lot of access to fabrics, sewing threads, zippers, you name it. A lot of things that a lot of us who sew at home would use. Lace trim, bias trim, you name it. Just a lot of things. And now, I don't know how much worse it can get. Now we have one of the biggest pattern makers of commercial patterns has sold. And this affects 4 plus 5, if you want to consider this new one. 4 of the biggest pattern companies who conglomerated a couple of years ago under this one company. And that company is IG Designs Group. And they have sold everything to a company called Hilco, which is a liquidation company. And basically it's a little bit of history that's gone. So those of us that use some of these patterns to make things at home, we've lost another asset to our home sewing. And that saddens me. Not only that, but it's a lot of history in itself. There is a ton of history with just all 5 of the pattern companies that are under this umbrella. Simplicity was started in the 1920s. It's been a big factor for many people when they were first learning to sew. These are some of the first patterns I ever worked with. So I'm saddened to see that. Then we have McCall's. It was started in 1870 by a Scottish immigrant. And the next company, Vogue, was started in 1960. The oldest pattern company was Butterick. It was started in 1863, and it was the very first commercial pattern maker that had graded sewing patterns, which means it had the different sizes involved in it. And of course, the newest one is Know Me, and this was started in 2022 by Mimi G. Any of you sewists who follow Mimi G, and I followed her for years. On her YouTube channels years ago, when I started following her, she would tell you simple tricks and hicks, all kinds of things of way to create patterns from things you had at home, those kind of things, as well as navigating through some of these patterns and some of these other things, as well as designing some beautiful patterns herself. But she founded Know Me in 2022, and the feature of this featured the designers who had created these fashions. So you've got that on top of that. So I don't know how many more blows we can take as home sewists, but we're going to have to find new avenues. The only other thing is the IG Design Group. They also make the tissue paper that the patterns are printed on. And of course, we still have a lot of indie pattern companies. There are a lot of digital patterns that you can purchase. I will say this, with digital patterns, some people don't like those because you get the pattern. Yes, you can print it out at home on your printer with about 1,000 pages. No, I'm being facetious, but for say a pair of pants, you're going to have 27 pages that you have to match up the lines, tape them, cut out the size you want. If you want 2 sizes, then you got to worry about that kind of thing. But that is the downfall of some of those patterns. But luckily, most of us can take those patterns that we have. We can take them on a thumb drive, put them on a CD, take them down to Staples, and they can print out the pattern in just one piece, quite like they would do maps or banners or those kind of things that they do for students at local universities. There are a couple of printing companies that you can send in your digital file and tell them what you want, whether you want it printed in black and white or color, because a lot of these are multi-size patterns that you can print out in different colors so that you would know where to cut for whatever size pattern you're wanting to cut it for. And generally what happens is you put the order in, you do it all online, you send them the file, they print it off, and then they send it to you in like a map tube with your pattern rolled up, that kind of thing. And I have a couple of patterns back there that I've done. And generally what I do is I just take the manila folders and write the name of the pattern and what it was and the sizes that are on it, and then just fold it up and put it in there when I'm done using it. But this is another blow for us sewists, so I don't know where we're going to go from here, but we'll see. And there's no telling what they'll do. Now I know that Hobby Lobby still has a lot of patterns in their drawers that you can pick up for, I believe they're all $4.95 now or $5.95. Can't remember exactly, but they're all the same price. So I'm wondering if they had gotten a heads up or that was a deal that they had made. And I think too, many times these patterns have kind of outpriced themselves because what used to be $2.95 to $8.95 then started jumping up to the price of $12.95 to up to the highest one I've seen is $37.95. But that was for a pattern that I was looking for. And most people aren't going to pay that for a tissue, you know, a manila envelope that's printed with a fancy thing and has a picture on the front and then tissue paper. Most people aren't going to pay that kind of price. A lot of people are blaming the tariffs. I don't think the tariffs really have anything to do with it, because if they've already sold this to a liquidator, this has been probably years in the making, if not at least the last year, when even the tariffs under the Biden administration were fairly high on some of the areas that do print these patterns for us, like China. So I don't think the tariffs really had a whole lot to do with it. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. But yeah, we're kind of stuck there. Another sad day for us who craft at home, because they also had a lot of patterns. So did you use any of those patterns in your past? I mean, I know I've got a ton of patterns that I've kept and I've used off and on for different things, even for a basis of starting another pattern that I've changed things up on. So yeah, have you used those patterns? How do you think it's going to affect you in your sewing life? I know it's going to hurt me because lots of times it's much easier to grab a pattern, cut out a bunch of them, and sew. And I do that a lot with a lot of the, I'll be honest, a lot of the dresses that I've made for Operation Christmas Child, or some of the other things I have made for different organizations. So we'll see how that goes. Now, I did want to tell you, I had shown, and I'm gonna release that part in a mini part. I'm gonna send it as part 1 of the video, where I had started showing you how I was going to create a cover for my loose leaf notebook. for a prayer journal. So I'd started that process. Was filming all along and thought I was doing well with the filming, and then realized that the last part of it did never get filmed. So I need to refilm the last part showing you how to actually sew the book cover together. I will not be doing a loose leaf notebook with this one. I will show you how to cover just a composition book with just fabric, not adding in any additional things like batting or anything like that, quilting it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's basically the same format for that, but hey, mistakes happen. What can I say? I did think also today, along with this, that I would also give a few shout outs for a couple of other channels that I watch. And that would be, the first one would be Minky Kim. Kim is originally from Korea, but she now calls California her home. She is a fabric designer for Riley Blake Designs and a pattern designer with her own whimsical style. She was a formally trained sculptor and self-taught sewist. She found that designing fabrics and creating art with fabric and thread were natural steps in her evolution as an artist. She discovered that sewing was a creative outlet when her children were small. She wanted to capture the beauty of ordinary movements, first with hand embroidery and later recreating them with her sewing machine and fabric, literally drawing with thread. And if you've never tried that, it is amazing. You should give it a try. So capturing those things by bringing beautiful sewing illustrations to make keep-safe snapshots of her daily life has become her signature style. She has written several books like Sew Illustrated, Diary and Stitches, Zaka from the Heart, Zaka Wool Applique. So you might want to check out her channel. It's a great channel to watch. Then there is Groovy Ooze. This is Kirsty. She does sewing patterns and beginner-friendly tutorials. Then we have Heather Mayhem. This is Heather. She does a lot of full sewing tutorials, complete with a lot of oopsie moments. And of course, you know you get to see that on mine too. She mostly makes bags and purses, but sometimes she does throw in a few extra things to make. Then there is A. Marie Eco Sew. This is a small business dedicated to eco-friendly and ethically made products. And she does have a website where she sells a lot of these things. Then there is Allie So Crafty. This is sewing and embroidery. She gives pattern reviews, tips, hacks, and tutorials. Then there is DIY Simply. This is Marie. She helps you find masterclass. Here you're going to see she has some master classes on recycling old unnecessary clothes, repairing clothes, life hacks, sewing tricks, and a whole lot of other ideas. Then there is the Milk and Honey Quilt Company. Liz owns this channel, and she believes sewing should be for everyone, whether you're a beginner or seasoned sewist. Here she shares cozy, modern quilting tutorials, fun puns, and the joy of creating something handmade. She is inspired by her family's sewing heritage. Her aim is to make sewing accessible, fun, and relatable. You might find that you enjoy this channel. She also has an Etsy shop where she sells a lot of the written patterns that she teaches us or shows us. Then there is Rebecca at Crafting Therapy Shop. She is doing her part to bring joy to the world through crafting and creating. She does a little bit of everything, not not always sewing related, but I think you'll enjoy those channels. All right, that's it for today's video. Next video up will be the boo-boo with the sewing. You know, I don't know what else to do there, but stuff happens. I will give you that first part, and then second part I will finish showing you how to actually finish that book cover. Only a different one. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. See you again soon. Bye.